what's going to happen to the Yankees roster real soon. Okay, everybody, hope you're doing well. So the Yankees have a doubleheader today, right? 4:30 and I think 7:30 or something like that against the Angels, thanks to yesterday's rain out. So, but I want to talk about, this is a good one. There we have at least 6 guys that I can think of that are going to be coming back to the Yankees. Most likely their active roster from injury. What moves can the Yankees possibly make to get these guys on the roster? Okay, I'm going to break down the 40, and then we're going to go to the 26. You can see the different type of roster maneuvering they're going to have to play with. Okay, and again, keep in mind, if you're on the 40, you're protected from the Rule 5 draft. That's not applicable to the major leaguers and their veterans and so on and so forth. But some of the young kids, if they get knocked off the 40, then they're no longer protected for the Rule 5 draft. So just something to keep in mind. And again, I will keep you updated on all this stuff because we have guys coming back. So make sure that you sub to this channel if you haven't done that yet. And just hit the notifications as well. That way, when I go live, you'll know when I go live. When I have news that I put out, you'll be the front of the line too. And I thank you so much for it. Now, let's go over I'm going to read the Yankees 40-man roster, and I'm going to put up on the screen the 26-man active roster. It's different. They have to, they have to get guys, if they're not on the 40-man roster now, they have to be put on the 40-man roster, and then they have to be transferred to the 26, which is active roster. So then there's going to be some tough decisions the Yankees are going to have to make real soon. Okay, here are the 6 guys: Clark Schmidt, Jose Trevino, catcher, Scotty Frost, reliever, John Birdie, infielder, Nick Birdie, reliever, and potentially Lou Trevino, reliever as well. So those are the 6 guys. I can see them coming back at some point this season, right? I don't know if all of them are going to make 26, but obviously they're going to be on the 40. But here's the 40-man roster, okay? Pitchers first: Clayton Beeter, JT Brubaker, Nick Birdie, Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez, Jake Cousins, Enyel Dos Santos, Scotty Frost, Luis Hill, Yoendris Gomez, Ian Hamilton. Oh, and Ian Hamilton's another one that's come back as well, so that's 7. Tim Hill, Clay Holmes, Tommy Kahnle, Mark Leiter Jr., Jonathan Loizaga. He's another one, and make it 8. Josh Misijeski, Ron Marinaccio, Anthony Masevich, Cody Poteet, Carlos Rodon, Clark Schmidt, Marcus Stroman, Michael Tonkin, Lou Trevino, Will Warren, and Luke Weaver. Those are the pitchers. Catchers, you have Carlos Narvaez, Jose Trevino, Austin Wells. Then we've got infielders: John Birdie, Oswaldo Cabrera, Jazz Chisholm, DJ LeMahieu, Oswald Peraza, Ben Rice, Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres, Yorbit Vivas, and Anthony Volpe. Then your outfielders: Jason Dominguez, Trent Grisham, Aaron Judge, Everson Pereira, Juan Soto, Alex Verdugo. Okay. And DH, Giancarlo Stanton. So that's the most recent. I mean, Everson Pereira should be off of this because he's had Tommy John surgery, so he shouldn't be on there. But he's probably being protected from the Rule 5, which is one reason he's on here. So now, let me pull up the Yankees 26-man roster. This is where it gets tricky, right? Let's pull this up, and you'll see here. Catchers, 2 of them, Carlos Narvaez and Austin Wells, instead of 3. Infielders: Oswaldo Cabrera, Jazz Chisholm, DJ LeMahieu, Ben Rice, Gleyber Torres, Anthony Volpe. Outfielders: Trent Grisham, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Alex Verdugo, designated hitter Giancarlo Stanton. Okay, and your pitchers up here: Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez, Jake Cousins, Enyel Dos Santos, Luis Hill, Tim Hill, Clay Holmes, Tommy Kahnle, Mark Leiter Jr., Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman, Michael Tonkin, and Luke Weaver. Okay, now pull this down for a second, okay? Of all those guys that I mentioned that are going to be returning, who in the world are they going to knock off the 26-man roster to get in there, to get on the field again, right? This is where the tough decisions have to be made. I'll put this back up again, okay? We'll go through this. And let's go one player at a time. Let's say Clark Schmidt. Of these pitchers, what would you do? I mean, I would move Nestor Cortez to the bullpen personally, but I don't know if anybody else would do that. Okay, now let's talk about Scotty Frost, Nick Birdie, and let's just say Ian Hamilton, who have the most likely chance. Those are three relievers. Are there three relievers on here that you'd be willing to move? Right? And I mean, Jake Cousins might be one. Maybe they'll move Tommy Kahnle. He's going to be a free agent. I don't know. And maybe this is where it gets tough, right? This is where it really gets tough. I don't even know what they would do. So I don't even know if they're going to call up three of them. Okay, they're going to be very selective with whom they call up. I mean, Scotty Frost has controllable years. So just keep in mind. Now, John Birdie, infielder. Let's go down here. Okay. When John Birdie comes back, who are you going to Gleyber? Are they going to move on from Gleyber Torres at that point? Or Oswaldo Cabrera? Seems more likely that Gleyber Torres they would move on from. But no one else they're going to move on from. So what are they going to do when John Birdie comes back? Right? This is where it gets dicey. This is where it gets really, really dicey, okay? And this is where, again, I struggle to figure out what they're going to do here. Right? Let me get this off the screen. Okay? This is where it gets really tricky. Okay? So they have potentially 8 guys coming back. 7, 8 guys. That will be 1/3 of the 26-man roster that they would have to move on from. I can't see that many roster moves happening. Right? So are guys going to get DFA'd? Or are they not going to bring up guys? Maybe Lou Trevino doesn't come back. Right? Maybe of these guys, maybe Jose Trevino doesn't come back. Like, what are they going to do? The trade deadline's passed. Are they going to DFA these guys or put them on waivers? Right? Let me know what your thoughts are. Okay, load up the comments. I'm really, really curious to know what you think. Again, the Yankees have a lot of reinforcements due back from injury. And, the 26-man roster is kind of, with the addition of some of the guys that they brought in at the trade deadline, has taken a little bit better shape than it did a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so it's going to be harder to move on from guys. Okay, I mean, again, the only guys I'd be willing to move on from might be Gleyber Torres. I might not even call up Jose Trevino because we have Austin Wells playing well and Carlos Narvaez as a credible backup. So, Jose Trevino, what are you going to do with him? Right? I mean, he was hurt, so you couldn't trade him. I would have tried to, and I don't know if they did or not, but I would have tried to trade Gleyber Torres too, which would have kind of eliminated some of these problems, potential problems, right? So that's my question for you today. What happens to the Yankees roster when guys come back from injury? I have no idea. No idea. Give me your feedback. I'm really, really, really curious. And again, of those guys, and I'll mention them, again, Clark Schmidt, I want him back in the rotation. I would move Nestor Cortes to the bullpen to be the second lefty, since they've already moved on from Chase and Shreve. He signed with the Rockies yesterday. Okay, so Scotty Frost, right-handed reliever, I would like to have him back. John Birdie, I want him back, have him back as another infielder. And they still have Oswald Peraza, who's all of a sudden turning into a power hitter, right, out of nowhere. So, but there's only one infielder that they can really, and I haven't even mentioned Anthony Rizzo, right, who can come back too. So, I mean, there's like 9 guys on this list that can come back. But Anthony Rizzo's very likely going to move on at the end of the season. I don't think they're going to pick up his team option for 2025. So could he stay on and be a mentor for some of the young kids? I sure hope so. Okay. And maybe just not be activated on the roster. So this is where it gets a little funky right now, right? And again, of these guys, I mean, I'd like to see Nick Birdie back in the bullpen, but I'd like to see a lefty there first to give us another lefty in the bullpen. So I'm keeping an eye on see if the Yankees pick up somebody through the waiver wire or through a free agency or something. They've also added Brett Phillips the other day, that infielder converted into a pitcher who's, lighting people up with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and some nasty off-speed stuff too. I don't know if he'll get a shot, but we definitely need another lefty in the bullpen. Tim Hill's the only lefty we've got right now. They've got Victor Gonzalez, but he's not on the 40-man right now. He's in the minors, but he's not on the 40. So, This is where it gets funky. And now we've got, what, 50 games left, a little bit under 50 games left. So the last third of the season is upon us. And of the guys that are going to come back, we're going to need a handful of them at least. But how are they going to maneuver it on the roster? Who are they going to move on the roster? I can't think of many guys I would want to move from the 26-man roster. 40-man's a little bit more easier to handle, not the 26. And this is where the tough decisions are going to have to be made. So give me your feedback on that, gang. I really want to know what you're thinking. And again, of the guys that are coming come back, I'll read the list one more time before I go. Okay, Ian Hamilton, potentially Anthony Rizzo, Clark Schmidt, Jose Trevino, Scotty Fruss, John Birdie, potentially Luke Trevino, okay, and Nick Birdie, and even Ron Marinaccio, right? That's like 9 guys that they could interchangeably move in and out right now. Some of them have options, some of them do not. Okay, this is why, like Oswald Praz, I think he's out of options. So they either have to bring him up here to play him, they can't option him back out again, so they have to release him or trade him. But the trade deadline again has passed, so the time to do that is over. They can't do it again until the offseason, right? So what in the world are they going to do? How can they make the team, the active 26-man roster, better at this point for the postseason? Who of these guys is going to really, really put them up to the next level? I think Clark Schmidt, another fresh arm in the rotation, would be a good idea. I think Nestor Cortes, lefty, long relief in the bullpen, I think it would be a good idea. I think he's plateaued as a starter, and I think it would be a good idea to move him into long relief now, if you consider it. I hope he will. Okay. And again, Scotty Frost, another versatile arm in the bullpen, but we've got Mark Leiter now, who's really, really doing great things. So maybe we won't see Scotty Frost this year. All right. We're going to be, moving on from several relievers at the end of this year. But Clay Holmes we might be moving on from Clay Holmes. I think Marinaccio. I think Tommy Kahnle and a couple other guys as well. So Ian Hamilton's got controllable years. So does E. Frost. So we'll probably see those guys next year without these other guys. So this is where I like to put on my thinking cap right now. And I want to know what your thoughts are. Let's go, Yankees.